I wasn't born into a Christian home, but as the world sees it, it wasn't a bad home either. At one time, there was 10 in the family. A little Mennonite church, media church there in close Oxford, Pennsylvania, and that's where we were working on the farm, come to the house and invited us to their church, which I like very much. And I go into the Bible school, and I loved it. That's where I accepted the Lord when I was about 12 years old. I can't describe the feeling because the Lord just spoke to me, and I accepted the Lord. I raised my hand for altar call, and shortly after, my dad, sitting right next to me, accepted the Lord also. And my mom and sister were there also. Well, at that time they didn't, but they did at a later date. But sadly to say, my walk with the Lord didn't go on for years and years. My father was sort of getting tired of farm life, and he was working for a steel mill here in Baltimore, Maryland. Even though we were going back to different churches, we still wasn't living a godly life. 16, 17, I guess I had my first taste of alcohol. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed the taste very much. And that was my downfall there. It led me into places I didn't want to go and don't want to go back ever. Later on, became infatuated with a girl in my life who was about 6 or 7 years my junior. About 21 or 22, we decided we wanted to get married. We did. Well, we fathered a daughter, who was Mary Ann. Well, the marriage didn't last too awfully long because by that time I had grew deeper and deeper into the worldly life, as I would say it, and you might say I was an alcoholic. I had to have a drink first thing in the morning, last time at night. So naturally, my wife couldn't put up with that. Got my divorce, where at? In a bar room. My wife then raised my daughter. Under the circumstances, I'm really proud of how she had grown up today. She's an assistant manager in a super fresh store in Hampton, Virginia. When my mom passed away, it was drinking on the job, etc., etc. You go whole 9 yards. I was just leading such a horrid life. And I just couldn't believe it myself. Later, I met this woman in the bar. I wound up getting together with her, and even my closest friends at the time could not believe, knowing me as they did, that I could ever get tied up with a woman to that nature. Because she, I honestly believe, was Satan's wife herself. She was the most ungodly person that you could ever meet. I came home one night, and the woman in question was highly intoxicated and had a butcher knife at the door, and she had been known to stab her husband several times, and I knew this. So she was at the door, angry, and was going to stab me. So in the meantime, she had to go to the bathroom. So she went to the bathroom. I ran in the house real fast to find the gun, because I figured she had the gun. The gun wasn't where I hid it. So I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I found it underneath her pillow. So I stuck it in my pocket. She came back, picked her knife up, and again drew the knife out and laughing like she's going to cut me up. So eventually I couldn't take anymore. I pulled the gun out, and I said, put the knife down. She became infuriated. She lunged at me with the knife, me with the gun in my hand, put my hand up, not wanting to fire and hit her or anything. But when she hit my hand, with that, the gun went off, striking her in the head, a glancing blow. But it was enough to knock her out. She hit the floor backwards, and I believe that's what threw her into a unconscious state. They found me not guilty of attempted murder because I wasn't guilty. And I'm saying that before you, before God, but the twisted lies and all that were told in that courtroom, even the police officer, and I know you're saying, well, I've heard that too many times, but you haven't walked this mile in my shoes. They were lies. But anyway, they gave me 15 years, 5 years for the gun weapon and 10 years for assault. I took up everything in jail that I could. I actively attended the chapel. I was getting the word of the Lord. We even had a couple of Mennonite churches come in at the time from that area. This is around Hagerstown, come in, and I couldn't believe it. A Mennonite, and it sort of brought tears to my eyes. Here's a Mennonite people that and here they are visiting the church. And I was pretty overwhelmed with that. A good time my way out of that hole. I got out of jail in '89. God led me into AA to bring me about to my senses. I was in AA all total for about 18 years. I have rededicated myself back to the Lord, and He has accepted me. He came back, Jesus has came back into my heart, and I just know everything is right. I was living right down here on Arlington Avenue, where I am now. My landlady at the time, well, Bill, you know there's a church right up on Wilkins Avenue. And that's how I came to this church. God has led me in such a way. There's so many things that have been going on in my life, but God has enabled me to carry on and becoming active in the church. And He's enabled me just opening up doors here and doors there. One person that God has put in my life, Faith Meyer. I had known her for about 20 some odd years. I had more or less taken her off the street, you might say. She was being abused. Started bringing her to church because I had read a pamphlet somewhere, but I already had this in my mind anyway. Even the special people has a place in the church. And that's the reason why I had brought Faith in here to introduce her to my church family. She's came a long way. And one song that I used to sing, I've sung several with her in the car when we were riding. Soon and very soon, soon and very soon, we're going to see the King. No more crying there. Anyway, when I get through the verses at the end, I'd say, soon and very soon, Faith Ann and I are going to see the King. And then I would say, Faith Ann, who's the King? Jesus! I will be leaving this church family sometime soon, probably near December. And I'm going to miss you guys very, very much. What can I say except I love you guys, and the film that you're seeing now won't be the last you see of me. I'll never forget, where I came from, where I've been, and where God's taking me to now. I just stand in awe of just how great God is.